Have you ever wondered how to design a furious, deadly sci-fi tank in Blender? Well, welcome to my hot surface vehicle design course. In this program, I'll guide you step by step, from modeling to texturing. So by the end, you'll have your very own military sci-fi tank, built entirely from scratch. Now, this course isn't really for beginners. It's designed for those who are ready to push your skill into advanced hot surface modeling. We'll mainly use two tools, Machine Tool and Box Cutter. If you already have them, perfect. If not, don't worry. You can replace them with free add-ons. I've linked a video where I explain all the alternatives. And if you would like to set up your Blender interface and preference just like mine, check out my setup video first. It will make following along much easier. This is part 1. Every week, I release the next part. So, all you need is about 30 minutes a week. Enough to learn, practice, and design without feeling rushed. I'm super excited to get started. Shall we begin? Let's start with the default cube. I'll go into front view and scale it down small, zoom in a bit. Then I'll move slightly on the X and apply the scale. Now, I'm selecting two edges and running chamfer. Switch to face mode. I'll move this face back. Then I'll grab these two edges, run a small chamfer. And also select these two edges here. Let's run a bevel with few segments to smooth it out. Once that's done, I'll mirror the changes to the other side using Machine Tool. Next, I'm selecting the top face and also the bottom face, then running a small chamfer to soften those edges. Back in edit mode, I'll add a loop cut and bevel it. Then I select this face and extrude it out like this. Still in edit mode, I'll press A to select everything, move it slightly to the right, and mirror the changes to the left. Now, let's add some detail. From the top view, I'll use Box Cutter add-on to draw a square, then press B to apply bevel, and then cut it. Then we mirror the cut to the back side. Next, I'll add a cylinder. Scale it down and rotate it 90 degrees on the Y. Then, let's move it into the center of the cut. Scale it on the X to stretch it out and push it slightly back. I'll also apply the shade smooth here. I think it'll look better if we make it a little larger, so move it back a bit and push it in slightly downward to sit nicely. Now let's apply the scale and jump into edge mode. I'll add a loop cut and bevel it. Then add another loop cut, this time with a smaller bevel. Next, I'll extrude along the normal, push it inward, and after that, I'll insert the face. And once again, extrude along the normal, scale it down. I'll add one more loop cut, then bevel it, and then extrude. Now I'm selecting a few faces here, and also on the other side, then extruding them along the Y direction. To reset the scale, I'll press S, Y, and type 0. Now, I press F to fill in those faces, then I'll select everything and use Limited Dissolve to clean up the unwanted geometry. Next, I'll select these two edges and also the other two and try to run a bevel. It's kind of bad. I noticed some issue here, so let me just check. Yeah, it looks like the Limited Dissolve left behind some bad connections, so instead, I'll undo and simply fill the face manually with F. Oh, actually, I just missed this face, so select all and press F to fill it. Now it's fixed. I'll also fill the opposite side and repeat the same step for the remaining two sides. Once that's done, I'll run a cleanup tool to remove the leftover geometry with Machine Tool. Now I'll select all four sides and run a bevel. Press C to clamp and fix any overlap. And finally, press M and choose Merge by Distance to clean up the extra edges. Next, I'll select this model and mirror to the other side. Now let's add a cylinder. I scale it down, rotate it 90 degrees on the Y, and scale it even smaller, and move it into the middle. After a small tweak to the position, I stretch along the x-axis, and I'll apply the shade smooth. Now I'll select both objects together and mirror them to the opposite side. Next, I'll draw a rectangle cut in the middle, add some bevel to it, and hit enter. Finally, I'll select everything, press Ctrl+A and choose Visual Geometry to Mesh to apply all the modifiers. And let's not forget to save the work we've done so far. To form the tank tire, we'll start with the Bezier curve. I'll move it up and rotate it 90 degrees on the Z and also 90 degrees on the Y. Now let's go into edit mode. I'll grab this one point and move to the left. From here, I'll extrude and pull it down. Then let's rotate it on the x-axis to give it some nice curve. Then extrude once more and move to the right, just outlining the tire shape. I'll rotate it on the x and flatten it like this. Before locking the shape, I'll adjust the control point, bring them closer to the outline I want. Once that's done, I'll mirror the changes to the other side. Now let's right click and convert this curve into a mesh. The geometry is a bit dense, so I'll clean up using limited dissolve. Next, I'll slide some vertices together and even out the spacing. With proportional editing turned on, I'll gently move them to refine the shape. I think you can even delete this vertex here. So delete this and also select this one and delete it. To simplify the mesh, now I'll just take this point, move it to the right and adjust it slightly, just kind of forming the curve shape. Finally, let's mirror the detail across to the other side. Now I'll select the Bezier curve and convert it back to a curve. Then I'll select all the mesh piece and press J to join them into a single object. Let's move this piece to up and position it neatly at the center. Next, I'm going to add an array modifier to this model. I'll set the x factor to 0 and y factor to 1. You can adjust this depending on how close or far apart you want the tires. For me, I'll set it to about -0.91. So both ends connect perfectly. Now, let's start increasing the count. And to make this array follow the tire curve, we'll add a curve modifier and set the target to the Bezier curve. That locks the tire shape along the path. Let's start increasing the count. If you notice any stretching, don't worry. Just press G and Z, then push it down, like this, slightly to even out the spacing. Once it looks right, apply both modifier and delete the extra curve. I'll save the project using Power Save, which is super handy since it's automatically saved every 2 minutes. Now, let's move the tire to the right. Then I'll add a cube, position the object closer to the cube, and then mirror to the other side. I'll scale the cube on the X and also stretch it on the Y until it matches the tire's level. Now let's open the box cutter and set a cutter type to N-con. I'll draw a line here, straighten it, move to the left, and give some bevel, then cut it. After that, mirror the changes over. Let's apply the boolean and go into edge mode. I'll select this edge and run a bevel. Now select the top edge and give it a large bevel. That defines the form nicely. Next, I'll move the cube down slightly like this, then switch to face mode. Grab the top face and pull it upward. Then I'll select the top edge loop with alt click and run a clean chamfer. Now let's switch to top view. Choose a box cutter and draw a rectangle here. Add some bevel to it and tap to freeze the operation, then hit E to extrude it. Push it all the way to the down and cut it through. Now let's work on the back side. It looks a bit flat, so first I select this edge and try a bevel. No real difference there, so instead let's grab this middle edge and run a bevel. That gives a much cleaner and smoother result. Next, I select the bottom edge and perform a small chamfer, just to soften it out. Alright, time to start building the wheel mechanism. This part is a little long and challenging, but yeah, let's face it together. I'll add a cylinder and set the vertices count to 64. Then rotate it on the Y, 90 degree, scale it down a bit and move it to the left, around the top corner of the tire. And adjust the size and position. Now I'll scale it down on the X, then pull it forward and apply Shade Auto Smooth. Once that's done, apply the scale and jump into face mode. I'm chamfer the front face, then insert it. After that, extrude it inside, then scale it down to define the form. Next, I'll duplicate the cylinder, scale it down like really small and move it all the way to the bottom. Just leave a little inch gap. Now we'll add array modifier to the small cylinder. Set the direction, then increase the count around 10, 11, maybe 11 looks good. Right now, the clone objects are in straight line, but we want them to bend slightly to follow the tire curvature. So, I'll apply the array first, then switch to face mode. Select the middle cylinder and enable proportional rotating. Press G and Z, move it down while adjusting the circle size. Now you can see it curves nicely. Let's nudge it slightly higher. There we go. Now we got a nice set of the bottom wheel. To balance it, let's add a top wheel. I'll duplicate the setup, move it to the right, and keep the same size. Then we duplicate it once more, but this time we scale it smaller and move to the left. Same process, add array modifier, increase the count to 7, position it to the center and apply the modifier. And then in face mode, grab the middle cylinder, press G, Z and push it upward slightly like this and just play around with the proportional size to get a nice result. And that's it. Now we model the basic wheel setup for our tank. Now let's start building the mechanism. Not the whole thing, but just the basics. Right now it's just a bunch of cylinders sitting across the giant blocky shape. So for that, I'm going to add a cube. Let's scale this down, stretch it on the y-axis and move it between the two cylinders. I also rotate it slightly on the X. Now decrease the thickness and bring it forward. I'll apply the scale, then go to edge mode. I'll select these two edges and also these two, then run a bevel, just like this. Next, I'll add a loop cut, bevel it, and reduce the segments, and then extrude this face out. Extrude it again, and rotate this. Let me actually turn off the proportional rotating. Yeah, rotate it on the X. Now I'll grab the side face, then extrude it to the left, then move it downward. Let's add another loop cut and slide across like this. Now I'll select this face and extrude it forward. Then I'll select these two faces and extend the size. After that, I select the top face and press F to fill them. And finally clean it up with machine tool. I'll grab the top edge and give it a chamfer. Then I'll slide this edge to the left to tighten it up. Next, I'll add a cylinder. Let's set the segments to 32 and scale it down. Flip it, make it even smaller, and adjust the position. I'll scale it on the X to flatten it out a bit, then apply Shade Auto Smooth. Now duplicate the cylinder and move it over to the other side. Duplicate one more and bring it to the top. And scale it smaller. Push it forward slightly. For this one, I'll apply Shade Smooth, and now for small detail, I enable box cutter and draw a rectangle. Right now the cutter isn't snapping properly, so let's fix that. Hold Shift key and press V to open this menu and set the snapping to nearest edge. Now when we draw, it follows the shape correctly. I'll make a rectangle here and pause the operation, extrude it inward, bevel it, and cut it out. Let's add one more detail trick. I select the cutter and then switch from box to n-gon mode, then draw a cross shape line here. Set a bit of thickness, form the shape, and cut it. Let's repeat the same process again, but in the opposite direction. Left click, drag it across, and move it to the top, and cut it. Finally, let's do one more. Draw a line at an angle, set the thickness, move it upward, and make that final cut. Now that's some nice detailing. So let's also do something to the middle. I start drawing a small rectangle with a box cut and cut it deep. Then I'll draw another one on the top, apply the bevel, and cut that through completely. Next, I'll select these two cylinders and apply scale. Go into face mode and then run a small chamfer. Once that's done, I'll select all these pieces, press Ctrl plus A and choose Visual Geometry to mesh. With everything is still selected, I'll press J to join them into one object. Now we need to mirror this across. Normally, you might think of using Array modifier. Since we bend the wheel, Array won't work best here. Instead, we'll duplicate and manually align the rotation. Keep repeating the process along the entire wheel system. Once the bottom is complete, you'll notice one cylinder is still left over. Just leave it there. Now, let's duplicate the mechanical part and bring it to the top. Rotate it upside down and repeat the same process again. We also have one cylinder left on the top, and that's totally fine. Now, to connect all these parts to the wheel, I select all the cylinders and press / to isolate them. In face mode, I select all the back faces, then bring the full model back to the view. Let's extrude these faces so that everything is actually attached, not just floating in the air. At this point, the big wheels are still not connected. To fix that, I'll add a cube, scale it down, place it at the center, and then stretch it on the y-axis. Move it to the right and scale it thinner on the X, then push it forward into the place. Now let's reshape it using box cutter. I'll draw a straight cut here, then left click, drag it down, fill the cutter, and cut it down. Next, I'll draw a thin rectangle cut and then bevel it and apply the cut. Then one more detail. I enable the cutter and draw a cross line just like we did before. Give it some thickness and cut it. Once that's done, I'll hide the cutter. Now let's refine this cube. I'll draw another shape following the same angle and cut it. After that, apply all the boolean and go into edge mode. Select all sharp edges, including the inner ones, and run a small bevel. And once you finish adding bevel, that might leave some bad shading. So to fix it, just apply Shade Auto Smooth. Back in face mode, I'll add a loop cut and bevel it with single segment. Then extrude the face outward. After that, I'll bevel the top and bottom edges for a smoother look. And finally, I'll merge by distance and clean the sharpness. Back in object mode, let's move this piece downward, position it somewhere near to the center of the cylinder, and now I'll perform a circular cut. Extrude it inward like this. Now apply the boolean and go to face mode. Select the space, duplicate it and bring it back. Then extrude it further. And once you're done, go back to the face mode, select the space and chamfer it. This piece is kind of overlapping with the cylinder, so I'll nudge it slightly to the X to fit it properly, or even you can just simply shrink it on the X-axis. Now in face mode, I select the back face and extrude it. Then select the whole face loop and extrude along normal. After that, I grab this edge loop and run a small chamfer. To connect this piece to the main body, I'll switch to side view by pressing P on the number pad and then draw a straight line using knife tool. Select the new faces, including all the small one, and press E to extrude until it touches the body. It's still not reaching, so I'll extend it further until it sits properly. And that's what we're aiming for. Finally, let's add a bit more interesting to the design. I'll do a box cut on the front side, then get some bevel and cut it. It's not placed really at the center, but anyway, that's not really a problem. And next, for the cylinder, let's go into face mode. Select all the faces and give them nice chamfer to break the flatness. So that's it for now. We built the base structure and established the wheel mechanism. I'll wrap this up as the end of part 1. In the next part, we'll refine the shape further and make the wheel system more detailed and realistic. So, don't forget to save your Blender file and I'll see you in the part 2.